defence
Chancellor,
and that money
I'm
fell on
genuinely
defence
interested
spending.
in the decisions you have taken since you've become Chancellor. And what I'm not hearing is, in terms of these economic statistics, since your budget last October, is anything that has got better in terms of these economic numbers. In fact, in your Treasury own document, in terms of measures, and you cited the planning reforms as being a helpful supply side that have helped the Office for Budget Responsibility increase the growth of the UK.
It started like any other political chat: polite smiles, polished sound bites, the usual dance between politicians and TV hosts. But within minutes, the whole tone shifted. Danny Dyer, the East End actor known for saying it as it is, had clearly had enough. The cameras were rolling, the lights were hot, and what happened next didn't just break the internet, it rattled Westminster to its core. Across the table sat Labour leader Keir Starmer and Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves, ready to sell their new Change for Britain campaign. But instead of a friend...
And Chancellor, you've made it clear already in today's evidence how much you value the work of the Office for Budget Responsibility, the IMF and the independent economists who helped sort of frame the UK guardrails effectively. And I note that in their Article 4 examination of the UK economy last year, which was published on the 1st of July, the IMF said this about the UK economy.
Conversation, they found themselves facing something far more dangerous, an unfiltered dose of reality. From the very first question, you could feel it, that tension in the air when someone's about to cross a line everyone else is too scared to touch. Dyer leaned forward, eyes locked on Starmer, and fired the shot that set the tone for the night. Do you not even know what normal people are going through out there? The room froze. Starmer tried to steady the moment, keeping his lawyerly calm, but Dyer cut straight through it. You're up there talking about policy papers while families can't afford heating. What planet are you living on, mate? It wasn't just blunt, it was brutal honesty. And for once, someone on TV was saying exactly what millions watching at home were already thinking. Reeves shifted in her seat, trying to jump in, but Dyer wasn't done. Your plan doesn't feed people, love. It's just words on paper. You could hear the gasps, even see a few heads nodding in the studio. Starmer attempted to regain control, saying Labour was focused on real change, but Dyer wasn't buying it. Real change? You've been saying that for years. Every time you get close to power, you forget where you came from. The exchange was raw, unscripted, and electrifying. It wasn't politics anymore, it was confrontation. And Starmer, usually in control, looked like a man cornered by truth itself. But the moment that blew the lid off came halfway through. Dyer stared straight into Starmer's eyes and asked, "Tell me one thing you've done personally that's made life better for working-class people." The silence that followed was deafening. Starmer hesitated, Reeves glanced down, and the entire nation held its breath. When Reeves tried to jump in, Dyer raised his hand. No, let him answer. The audience erupted. It was no longer a talk show, it was an interrogation live on national television. What made it so powerful wasn't just Dyer's anger, it was his authenticity. He wasn't quoting think tanks or spreadsheets. He was talking about real lives. You talk about inflation like it's just a number, he said. But that number is why people are skipping meals. That line hit like a punch. It wasn't politics anymore. It was personal. You could see the realization flicker across the room. This wasn't some actor showing off. This was a man holding power to account. Then came the moment that sent the internet into meltdown. Dyer leaned in and asked Starmer one brutal question. Tell me one thing you've done personally that's made life better for working-class people. Silence. Starmer froze. Reeves tried to interject, but Dyer lifted his hand. No, let him answer. The audience erupted. This was no longer a political discussion. It was an interrogation. And when Starmer finally spoke, his voice wavered. We're building towards a fairer Britain. Too late. Dyer just shook his head. You can't build fairness with speeches, he said quietly. You build it by standing with people when it's hard. That line became the quote of the night, shared millions of times across TikTok, X, and YouTube know before morning. By the end of the segment, the atmosphere in the studio was electric. Reeves forced a smile, but Dyer wasn't done. You've got a good head on your shoulders, he said. But stop reading scripts and start listening. You could see it in her face. Shock, maybe even respect. Backstage reports later claimed Starmer was furious, not at Dyer but at his own team. Within hours, Labour's communications office held emergency meetings, trying to figure out how to spin what had just happened. But the truth was, there was no spin strong enough to undo that moment. The clip had already taken on a life of its own. And that's the question echoing across the country tonight: did Danny Dyer just do what no journalist has dared to do, expose the cracks in Labour's leadership? Because this wasn't about politics anymore. It was about connection. One man, armed with nothing but honesty, made two of Britain's top politicians fall silent on live television. And if truth this raw can shake the establishment in a single broadcast, imagine what happens when the people start demanding more of it.